Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. Now let's take a look at some of the pictures you sent into our eyewitness portal. First is this one from State Low-Cost Junction in Jos, Plateau State capital. Our eyewitness reporter wants citizens to protect public infrastructure at all times. Well, next is this one, also from Jos. Our eyewitness reporter is warning travelers against overloading. And this next one comes from Daura Road in Katsina State. Our eyewitness reporter is advising road users to stop this risky behavior. I would like to thank you for sending in those pictures and urge you to keep them coming. The Kaduna State Commissioner of Police, Agiole Abe, says the fresh violence that led to the death of some people in 2 local government areas in the southern part of the state is as a result of attacks and reprisals following the killing of some Fulani herdsmen in the area. He also allegedly accused some communities in southern Kaduna of mischief and benefiting from the crisis. Mr. Abe made these allegations while addressing journalists at the area command headquarters in Kafanchan after visiting some of the affected communities.
These security chiefs are here to see for themselves the aftermath of the attacks that occurred on February 19, 2017 in Dakin Kogi, Jemaah local government area, and another in Kaura local government area. The attacks were said to have been carried out by suspected herdsmen who stormed the communities and opened fire on the people, killing scores, including 2 policemen with properties destroyed.
Since it was on Sunday, everybody was around sitting in a shade chatting with one another, which when they had the gunshot, everybody was afraid. And all the people from the other side had to run down to this place.
We cannot run away from this land because this is our settlement. We inherit this land from our forefathers and we cannot run away. Fulani people, they are wanderers. They're supposed to, they can settle anyway. They can go around up and down, but we cannot go there.
The Commissioner of Police appeals to the people to accept peace as the only way to end the crisis.
Don't forget, these are domesticated Fulanis that are integrated into the society along with the people long time ago. And they've been living peacefully. All we need is peace and patience and sincerity by the people so that we'll be able to achieve the end result so desired, and that's peace.
For the Garrison Commander, 1 Division, there's no truth in the allegation that security operatives did not respond to distress calls on time when the attackers came.
When the attack came in by unknown gunmen, our special forces responded immediately. And as evidence, we have corpses of 2 of the attackers that have been killed. So how come now people will jump up and say we don't respond? We are here to prevent the breakdown of law and order.
Clashes between herdsmen and farmers in southern Kaduna have claimed many lives and displaced many families. The people of southern Kaduna hope that with assurances of better security for them, they may soon begin to sleep with both eyes closed.
Efforts to return normalcy to northeast Nigeria and the Lake Chad region received a boost on Friday after international donors promised over 200 billion naira to help prevent famine. The money, to be spread over 3 years, was pledged at a humanitarian conference in Oslo, Norway. Co-hosted by Nigeria, Norway and Germany, the conference had sought for $1 billion in emergency funding to prevent famine in the region. Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister, Geoffrey Onyema, told the conference that the sheer magnitude of the crisis, which cuts across Nigeria and countries close to the Lake Chad area, was one of the largest and gravest humanitarian crises in the world. He said the gesture came at a time Nigeria was experiencing recession in the midst of costly military operations against Boko Haram. Meanwhile, the UN Emergency Relief Coordinator, Stephen O'Brien, says further contributions are still expected later in the year from the United Kingdom and the United States of America, while 2 other unnamed countries have also pledged to make substantial contributions. While the Lake Chad region has been a subject of discussion both within and outside Africa, owing to the challenges of shortage of food production because of climate change and environmental degradation, among other issues. Now, will these latest efforts from some international donors make a difference? A former head of civil service of the Federation and an environmentalist, as well as a former director of pollution control, Federal Ministry of Environment, Professor Oladapo Afolabi, joins me on the news at 10 to talk about this. Good evening to you, Professor, and thank you for joining me.
Good evening.
So, taking a look at these issues, how important is Lake Chad?
Well, Lake Chad is quite important. It's inland water body that does not flow anywhere. It only receives water. And you could see that the population in that area is not in tandem with the kind of population you find in the desert area where it is. That means it is important to life. So Lake Chad water is life to its community, to support human life and the biodiversity that you find there. It is the means of livelihood.
But you see, over the years, this has been a very big issue. We've seen climate change affecting how Lake Chad is. The water level has reduced. I had conversations with you upstairs and we talked a little bit about how we got here. So in the very short term, this intervention fund, this 211 billion naira that has been given, or that will be given over the next 3 years, will it be able to address this challenge?
Well, I will try to congratulate the international donor, because for a long time we've been struggling to have this quantum of fund. It is a positive development, but it is not enough. This can address in the short term security of the people and maybe security of resources to a very small extent, just scratching it at the surface. This will have to be split over the 3-year period, in my opinion, between the long-term solution and the short-term solution. The long-term solution is to restore the water body resources. And it had been in the plan that we should do a water transfer into Chari River that feeds the Lake Chad. So we can go back to our 1963-1964 water body surface area, which has reduced by over 90%. Without the biodiversity, the life resource, all the things that were good and that actually made Lake Chad popular will be restored.
But then we're also talking about an imminent famine. And that's one of the issues that a lot of observers are hoping will be addressed when these funds are disbursed.
That's a short-term arrangement. And that's why I say let us split this between the short-term and the long-term. For the famine, there are a few things that can be done to prevent the aggravation of what is imminent. But in the long term is to be able to get the place to sustain itself.
Indeed, and that's quite agreed, because in the long term, this is what matters, having the people being able to sustain whatever interventions are being made. But in the very short to medium term, we're talking about staving off an imminent crisis, talking about poverty which is raging, talking about the famine issue that's coming up as well, and talking about the huge challenge of climate change. How can all of these countries affected, including international donors and observers, how can they come together and in a very short time have a win-win situation?
Well, I'm sure before the donation they have a blueprint as to how this money will be expended. But I can say clearly here, whatever they do, first is to secure the resources, have security, and ensure that those who will benefit, the communities who are there themselves, are trained to secure the area and prevent further degradation which leads to famine. This can be helped. Clearly, with this quantum of money, the citizens, the community could be rehabilitated. They could be shown how to practice environment-friendly agriculture. They can be trained how to not to abuse the water body through pollution, through over-exploitation, and also in a regional way, also prevent over-damming. We must agree as to in what way we release water into this water body. It's an inland water body. It only gets replenished by recharge from inflow of water.
Yes.
All of this must be coordinated.
Well, who should coordinate it? Who should be leading
Oh, we
it?
have the Lake Chad Basin Commission, which is actually an institution that is supposed to take care of all the development in that region. In fact, it can become an haven in that region. Industrialization, agriculture, and several other things, tourism, because it's a unique water body. It's about, in its 8 days, it's about 1/8 of the total surface area of Africa, actually larger in size than Kuwait or Israel. So it's really a lovely, grandeur place to visit when it was Lake Chad, and we can get it back.
But not just at the moment.
No, with that kind of money, it's too small.
But then who do you think should be part of the implementation team towards this Lake Chad recovery, apart from the Commission?
Well, I would think that the Commission is a good institution to do that. We should not have too many organizations to do it. After all, this belongs to more than 8 countries, including those who share the same basin but are not really riparian countries. That is, those who share the boundaries of the Commission. So I think let's leave the Commission to do it.
And you also talked about the issue of funding. So for you, even though at the moment this is what we've gotten, and the coordinator says that much later in the year, the United Kingdom and the US and some other organizations that were not named will be making more contributions to this. So it seems as if the money is small at the moment, but it looks like it's going to grow. And so more efforts, more funds to tackle all of these challenges that you've mentioned.
My appeal really is to all our friends to come to help us at this time, both in terms of money, not just throw it at us, also to help us technically to get this water body restored. One of them, as I said, was to get the water transfer from River Obango, from Congo, that really just empties this water into the sea in a very useless manner. We can use it, we can capture it and get it to give us back the life that we used to have in Lake Chad.
Professor Oladapo Afolabi, the former Director of Pollution Control, Federal Ministry of Environment, and former head of the Civil Service of the Federation, thank you so much for coming on the News at 10.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
An intervention fund of 120 million naira has been approved by the Federal Ministry of Health to upgrade health infrastructure at the Federal Medical Center, Asaba, Delta State. This was disclosed by the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, during an official tour of the hospital. The minister expects the provision of appropriate infrastructure will, among other things, discourage medical tourism abroad. And when the News at 10 returns, interbank lending rates to lower next week as market awaits disbursement of allocations by FAC. That's on Business News. Please join us again.